On Monday 14th, Forum for Democratic Change members from Katonga faction, including 3 members of parliament, were arraigned before Buganda Road Chief Magistrates Court on charges of being common nuisance, which offences they all pleaded not guilty to. The group is accused of turning rowdy and blocking pathways as they plan to stage an unlawful procession to the Kenyan High Commission offices in Kampala to demand an explanation regarding the arrest of 36 of their members while at Kisumu in Kenya. Although the 5 suspects, including Kaija, Heroda, members of parliament, Kamara Nicholas, Semujunganda, Nangonzi Farida and Deputy Mayor Nyanjura Dorin were released on bail of 1 million non-cash, 9 of the accused were remanded to Rosela Government Prison. The 9 have now appeared in court before Chief Magistrate Ronald Kaizi for bail, where each presented 2 sureties. Although the prayers were not objected by the prosecution, it was hard for court to release the accused on bail for failure to present their LC1 letters and their national identification cards as one of the prerequisites of bail guidelines.
LC is refused. You want me to believe that? I've been out for some time.
Your worship,
At least we can say one refusal, but 10.
Your worship, we invoke the discretion of this honorable court.
I
that regard
to my discretion. Because it is mine.
We agree that we will not provide it. National ID identity letters as per paragraph 12.
That is better.
Mariona, we undertake once the accused persons are released on bail, that the same will be furnished in this honorable court. At the next mentioned date,
What was it for that compliance? Which is coach matter? What was it for that compliance?
Yona, scotched in a mandatory term, and also Yona, we are alive to the fact that this court, under Section 75 of the Magistrates Courts Act, has the discretion that even on the accused persons, one of the witnesses without shooting.
What was the mischief that this paragraph related to Chua? Maybe you can start from here. What was the mischief? And do you agree that you have not complied paragraph 12? Do you agree that you have not complied paragraph 12 with the bail guideline?
Your worship, we agree that we have partially not.
Not partially. You have not completed it.
Yona, we agree that we will not provide it. National ID identity letters as per paragraph 12.
That is better.
Mariona, we undertake once the accused persons are released on bail, that the same will be furnished in this honorable court. At the next mentioned date,
What was it for that compliance? Which is coach matter? What was it for that compliance?
Yona, scotched in a mandatory term, and also Yona, we are alive to the fact that this court, under Section 75 of the Magistrates Courts Act, has the discretion that even on the accused persons, one of the witnesses without shooting.
What was the mischief that this paragraph related to Chua? Maybe you can start from here. What was the mischief?
We stand over. Yeah, that's our prayer, Your Worship. We pray, not standing over, Your Worship, that if you are pleased to grant them bail, Your Worship, there should be a condition that we produce this afternoon so that we run around and get those letters or the identities. Because either can do, Your Worship, identity cards or the letters. We can run around once you have granted them on that condition that whoever brings the letter or the ID, you release. That would be fair, Your Worship. That would be fair, Your Worship.
Sign the bill forms until my clerk has confirmed that
We have
come.
most obliged, Your Worship.
However, later court granted them bail on condition that each of the applicants will first present an LOC letter and the national identification card for court to sign on their bail application form.
Substantial and is the accused persons on a court bond of 1 million, not cash. Each of the two shall execute a bond of 5 million, not cash. Each accused person has to comply with paragraph 12 of the bail guidelines. He or she has present to court an LC1 letter introducing him or her and a copy of a national identity card, passport or employment card, duly signed. Court shall not sign the bail guidelines of anyone who has not complied with paragraph 12A of the bail guidelines. Bail for A1, A4, A7, A11 and 12 extended to the 4th of September 24 at 9 o'clock. This matter is urgent the same date.
Court resumed on 14th September 2024. For mention of the case, Elias Lukwago, one of the accused's lawyers, after court expressed concern over the bail guidelines against any accused.
It's a travesty of justice for courts of law to insist on production of the accused person's ID or a letter from their areas of residence. It's a travesty of justice. Why? These people are incarcerated. They are on remand. Their freedom is curtailed. They cannot in any way communicate with their LSO leaders to be able to issue them with letters. And this is an onerous condition. It's very, very cumbersome. Indeed, in our opinion, it defeats the spirit of Article 28, which confers unfettered jurisdiction on courts of law to grant bail once they are satisfied that the accused persons or the applicants will not abscond from the jurisdiction of a court, that will comply with the conditions set by court. More so in minor cases like this one, because this is common nuisance. It's a misdemeanor in law. It's a petty offense. There is no reason why these leaders will run away from the jurisdiction of a court just because they are facing charges of common nuisance. No way. It's unreasonable. So we find this condition set in the practice guidelines that were issued by the Chief Justice in 2022 a travesty of justice and very, very absurd and unconstitutional. So we are considering as the FDC leadership challenging this instrument which was passed by the Chief Justice in 2022 in the Constitutional Court, because it's an affront to the spirit and letter of Article 28 of the Constitution, which confers unfettered jurisdiction on the courts of law to grant bail if they are satisfied that the applicants or the accused persons will turn up to answer to the charges once commanded by court to do so. You can imagine in a situation where you are an FDC and you are a well-known FDC leader and the village chairperson where you hail from or where you reside subscribes to NRM and is a rabid movementist. He can refuse stubbornly to give you letters because you are charged with a political offense and he is also occupying a political office. And they will say, no way. And even if actually they were to be professional enough and they issue those, they are ready to issue those letters, they have not seen the person they want to recommend. They are going to recommend. They are not aware that that person is in court, is in prison. They are not aware. So they demand physical appearance of the person they are making reference about, they are making recommendation about. They will say, please, where is this person? And you know the hassle you have to go through to convince the LOCs that, please, this person is charged with such and such offense, that is the magistrate court that is demanding for these letters and so on and so forth. You know the intricacies involved in securing those letters. It's extremely onerous and difficult for one to secure those letters. And in a situation where we are in right now, the legality of these LOCs have always been challenged. Sometimes they expire. There are situations where they need extension. And because of longevity, many of them have now suffered serious challenges of constitution of these LOCs, where the chairpersons, for example, have since died. The vice is also, for one reason or another, is not there. And therefore, there are villages where you will not find the LOC leaderships. There are those villages. So what do you do under such circumstances? Where you find the leadership of the LOD of that particular area is non-existent for one reason or another. What do you do under such circumstances? So we find this condition unreasonable. It violates the parameters of the Constitution and obviously it's an affront to the Bill of Rights in Chapter 4 of our Constitution, and we are contemplating challenging the same in the Constitutional Court. The Chief Justice is enjoined with those powers to come up with the regulations. Rather, the Chief Justice has got that prerogative under Article 28 to come up with those guidelines. He was clothed with those powers under that particular constitutional provision. But in our assessment and opinion, he exceeded those powers. He went overboard. And these guidelines are considered to be atravailers. Why? The Chief Justice put onerous conditions which in effect defeat the spirit of Article 28. Because the regulation we were supposed to come up with are just handmaids to justice. They are just regulations to guide the magistrates or the other courts of judicature in exercising their discretion to grant bail, but not to constitute a clog or fetters on the exercise of the same. Now here we are in a situation like in the case today. The magistrate is convinced that these people will not abscond from bail because the offense is petty, as I've said, it's a minor one. But he finds himself with his hands tied by Regulation 12 of these regulations because it's couched in mandatory terms that thou shall produce letters from the LOCs. They will also produce the IDs before they are granted bail. And that's the reason we have to creatively navigate around that Rule 20 as court, and all of us court officers, we have to creatively navigate around that onerous condition, that Rule Regulation 12, to give that particular condition that they produce the letters and then they are released. It's very, very unfortunate that the Chief Justice exceeded the mandate given to him under Article 28, and it's the reason we are going to the Constitutional Court to challenge the same.
In this court, prosecution alleges that the accused along Katonga Road in Kampala district blocked pathways, thereby inconveniencing others, hence turning out to be a common nuisance. The 36 members who are now in Luzira Government Prison were remanded by Nakawa Magistrates Court on one count of terrorism.